How are you, Daryl?
I'm good, Rich. Sorry to hear about the back. What'd you do?
Well, I tried to move something heavy on Thanksgiving. I bent at the knees, used my core,
It
and
doesn't sound like
well, I mean,
it.
I didn't lift it completely. I just, I lifted it off the ground and then rolled it. It was a big circle, a piece of cement, and felt fine. Felt fine. Began to feel a little bit funny in the back on Friday and Saturday, and Sunday morning, getting ready for game day morning on the network. Try to put a sock on without sitting down, and boom, I wound up on the floor. Done.
Wow.
How's that story, Daryl? Were you locked in from beginning to end on that story?
I was, and I've talked to people who've gotten the back from a sneeze. It's amazing how the back can go out. So just putting the sock on, or a sneeze can take a full-grown man down to his knees.
What about a flight to Dallas for Washington versus Dallas on NFL Network to kick off Week 13? How about that?
Yeah, that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Let's place the Cowboys aside for a moment. What are your thoughts on what's going on with the Giants and Eli Manning, Daryl?
I was really surprised to hear that. We actually had the San Francisco 49er Giant game, and that was kind of the first time that some of this discussion popped up, and it was about Davis Webb, and it was more about maybe the potential for some end of the game opportunities for Davis Webb if the score had gotten away from the Giants. It was not about Eli sitting down and Geno Smith coming in as the starter. And even that week, Ben McAdoo said, Eli Manning gives us the best opportunity to win the game. And I don't know what's changed from the preparation getting ready for the 49ers game until where we are this week, where all of a sudden Geno Smith gives the Giants the best opportunity to win the game. So I was surprised. I was disappointed. I know Eli has always said it's not about the streak, but I had a streak going, and when it ended, it was really disappointing to me. This is disappointing in my mind for Eli. Just everything that he's done. I remember in 2007 him fighting to get on the field a couple of times with that shoulder injury. He's been a warrior, and the biggest ability a quarterback can bring to a team is availability, and he's been awesome. He's been an Iron Man, and I just felt he needed to be treated with more respect if this was the decision you were going to make and the direction you were going to go.
Well, when you chatted with McAdoo, when you've been around him, okay, I forget who was on our show, Brockman, recently, who said there are some lieutenants and then there are generals.
That's right.
I forget who said that. One of our football-related guests that have been on recently. At any rate, that essentially that some coordinators aren't intended to be head coaches. What vibe do you get off of McAdoo when you meet with him, Daryl?
I would agree with that assessment. I haven't been around Ben enough. I think he's grown from last year to this year, and especially since the time we had him when he was just the offensive coordinator with the Giants under Tom Coughlin. So there has been growth, but I know exactly what your guest was saying. I've been around coaches where they can be great coordinators, but they're not going to be a good head coach. They can be great position coaches and maybe not a good coordinator. So, not to say that they've reached their plateau, but it's just they've got to grow. They've got to add more to the resume that they're going to present, and you can tell that right away with leadership is one of the big things. There's so much that goes into being a head coach. The way you handle the press, and that was one of the things that I think started this whole thing. It seemed to me that Ben McAdoo was backed into a corner by a question after that Rams game where he opened the door to say that every player, every position was going to be evaluated this week, including the quarterback position. And that's kind of the first time I'd heard that dialogue, and probably the first thing that got us to the point where we're at now with Eli not starting this.
Now, I know that, and at that time, after that very press conference, Daryl, I said, I don't know what McAdoo's thinking, because the ownership is never going to let Ben McAdoo script the end of Eli Manning's Giants career, and yet here we are. And there's no way that what was going on in Dallas last year, for instance, with Dak and Romo, that Jerry Jones wasn't involved with every single second of that decision, right, Moose?
Yeah, exactly. Everybody's involved with that. Jason Garrett's going to be a part of it. Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, Will McClay, everybody. Even Romo. Romo's going to be a part of that decision as well. So, this is not something that Ben McAdoo was going to do by himself. John Mara, Steve Tisch are going to be a part of it. There's going to be a number of people that are going to decide this, and I'll have to listen to your interview with Mike Francesa to find out, because he's going to know more. And one of the great things I've heard today doing all this discussion on this topic is, David Deal is right there at the Giants training facility, and he walked out to get coffee earlier this morning during a break, and he goes, I walk out, and who are the two people I see? I see Eli Manning helping Davis Webb with the game plan. And that just, there's just another, little cog to this whole decision. Who does that? I mean, how great of a guy is Eli Manning? Here he is going through one of the most difficult weeks of his life, and his focus is on helping the guy who could be backing up the guy that took his position get ready for the game.
But he's not even going to be active, it doesn't seem like. Apparently, Eli's the second. That's the thing, too. It's just that if you make this decision, start the kid. Not the veteran that's had a shot for the team that you share the building with, that your giant fan base has nothing but disdain for, right? And then start that guy and have Eli as the backup and put an earbud in his ear and make him stand on the sideline. It's just nuts.
If Ben McAdoo really wants to know what he has in Geno Smith, I'm sure there's tens of thousands of Giants fans he could call and ask their opinion on to be able to help him out with that.
The Jets, too, would be very vocal on that. Daryl Moose Johnston, and we'll talk about Liberty Tax in a second. How do you see the final 5 weeks of the Cowboys season playing out, Moose?
I don't know. Gosh, the last 3 weeks have been tough. Atlanta was probably playing their best football when they ran into them. Obviously, the Eagles are the Eagles right now. They're playing as well as they have at any point during the season. And the Chargers, we had the Chargers against the Bills the Sunday before Thanksgiving. And I told the people in Dallas, I said, you better watch this team. I think they figured some stuff out last Sunday. And Phillip Rivers had just an incredible day. So they're catching teams when they're getting hot. But I liked your point right before I came on. The Redskins seem to be a more complete team right now, even with all the injuries that they've had. They seem to be in a better position to play a 60-minute game in a certain style to get a victory tomorrow night against Dallas. And I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, at least you have the Giants in that portion of the schedule. You got the Raiders who are struggling. You've got Philadelphia, which could be a throwaway game, the last game of the regular season. So I really think tomorrow night is pivotal. If they can win and get to 6-6. Who knows down the stretch? But if they lose tomorrow night, I think you kind of map out scenarios going the rest of the way, and it's all for naught. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, I guess it means nothing anyway, Daryl, because even if the Cowboys win on Thursday night, they've got to take on Geno Smith the following week, right? And look out, he'll already have a start under his belt. And I don't mean to make. I mean, this is honestly, none of it makes sense. What are you doing with Liberty Tax, Moose? What are you doing with them?
We're just trying to let people know that tax season's right around the corner. We're trying to get everybody to be a little bit more proactive this year. We want you to get a game plan put together. So we're asking, everybody to kind of go to libertytax.com. They've got the tools there. You can access the tools yourself if you want to do your own game plan. But in situations like these, I'd rather defer to a certified tax planner. And you can also find the locations near you in your community at libertytax.com. You can walk in, have them help you out with this, because there's a lot of stuff going on. And there's even something that happened last year where 30 million people can expect their tax refund to be held up by the IRS until at least the end of February. Liberty Tax is going to help you get that money back, help you access $3,250 as early as January 2nd. So there's some stuff that's going on as Washington tries to rework all this, where I don't know if it's smart for us to do our taxes by ourselves anymore. So Liberty Tax is asking you to come out. Let's get a plan put together. Let's get you ready for tax season, and let's make sure we do the best job we possibly can through this year.
LibertyTax.com. And so where are you going this week? What game do you have this week?
We have the Rams at the Arizona Cardinals. So
that's a big one. That's a big one, Moose, for both teams. Really?
Right. Arizona, nice victory last week against Jacksonville. So, they're kind of back in the fray. What are they going to be? So, yeah, this is exciting. And I want to see if I was impressed by the Rams bouncing back from Minnesota against a team as good as New Orleans, even though they were at home. New Orleans is one of those hot teams in the NFL. Right. I want to see now if they can sustain that against somebody they should be able to beat. I mean, they just destroyed Arizona in London. But, this is a game that they should win. How do they handle success? Everybody, I think adversity is a little bit easier to handle. I want to see how the Rams handle success.
That'll be great. I love that building, too, that University of Phoenix Stadium. It's a great place to watch a game. We were just there. Facility. We were just there a few weeks ago. And like I said, I mean, with the Seahawks right on the Rams' tail, and then the Rams play the Eagles. The Vikings play this week the Falcons, who then take on the Saints one Thursday from tomorrow. And then the Vikings take on the Panthers that week after the Panthers take on the Saints this week. It's just awesome. This thing is really just on fire right now. in the
the
NFC.
scheduling down the stretch is going to be fun to watch. Atlanta has got a bear of a schedule, though.
They do. Hey, Moose, appreciate the time. Thanks. Are you going to be in the Jones Mahal tomorrow night? Will I see you there for that game or no?
Yeah,
Okay.
I am. Actually, I'm going to be out there a little bit early. I will track you down, see how you're doing. I'll bring you a heating pad to put on your back.
I appreciate it, Moose. Thanks, brother.
You got it, Rich. Thank you.
That's Daryl Moose Johnston.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.